So I've been following politics for a great number of years, and I'm not sure if I've ever seen a court case yo-yo up and down so much as Texas's SB4. It has just been an absolute ride, so let's talk about it. Welcome to Azimuth Podcast. My name is Barrett McNabb, and with me is my beautiful wife, as always, Kimberly McNabb. So SB4 was passed in September of 2023, and it allows Texas law enforcement officers to arrest, detain, and deport illegal immigrants as they're coming from Mexico into the state of Texas. Now, this is clearly at odds with the Biden administration's interpretation of the Constitution. But Texas used a very interesting portion of the Constitution that says that states can enforce their own borders if there is an invasion of their territory. And the governor, Greg Abbott of the state of Texas, has declared that this is an invasion of people coming across the border, and that is why that they have felt that their law would be able to pass muster. Now, it was supposed to go into effect in March of this year, 2024, and it just kind of has been this yo-yo as it's bouncing around the federal court system.
Yep. Well, I feel sorry for the Border Patrol because they probably need with hourly updates. Like, okay, what's the law this hour? What's the law this hour? Who's saying what?
Right. I mean, it has obviously caused a lot of confusion. But before the law went into effect, a Austin federal judge struck down the law and said it couldn't go into effect. Texas obviously immediately appealed to the Fifth Circuit of Appeals, and they mirrored the federal judge and said, look, the law can't go into effect while the court is looking and doing adjudication and oral arguments and things like that through the Fifth Circuit appeals. So the state of Texas appealed up to the Supreme Court, and again, this is interesting. The Supreme Court said, hey, we're staying the law, so it can't go into effect until we do further review. And I remember I read that and I was like, damn you, Supreme Court. And then in 24 hours, I thought I was reading a mistake.
I did too. I was like, what did I say? I thought it was different.
Yeah, literally in 24 hours, the Supreme Court says, okay, Texas, your law can go into effect. You can enforce your law while the case is being adjudicated in the Fifth Circuit of Court of Appeals. And so Texas said, great. And I couldn't believe it. I've never seen
such a quick turnaround
of yo-yos going around. And so immediately the Fifth Circuit Court says the law is suspended while it's going through adjudication in the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals. And the governor, Texas Governor Greg Abbott, said, psych, Texas is going to go ahead and enforce the law. And I do not blame him. I think he is in the right because the Fifth Circuit's boss, the Supreme Court, said the law could go in effect while the Fifth Circuit is having their legal process going on. And for the Fifth Circuit to say, nah, Supreme Court, we're going ahead and ignore you, and the law is suspended while it's going on. Man, Texas just said, look, I just asked your parents, and your parents said that it's good to go. I mean, I don't see how the Fifth Circuit would be able to enforce any negative consequences when the Supreme Court has already ruled in their favor. Now that is not to say that after the Fifth Circuit reviews the law and they say, no, it's unconstitutional, and it goes up to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court, through their formal process and oral arguments and things like that, could say, yeah, you're right, it is unconstitutional. That's fine. But right now, the Supreme Court says that Texas can enforce the law and start arresting people and deporting people. And I think this is just amazing. I've never seen just a beanbag get kicked around so many times and have so many different rulings.
Well, eventually, the beans are going to spill everywhere.
Yeah, well, eventually the bag's going to break open. But to your point, I cannot imagine being a a law officer, a peace officer in the state of Texas, whether it's the Department of Public Safety, which is the equivalent of the state troopers that a lot of states have. The Texas Rangers is a subset of the Texas Department of Public Safety. You've got sheriffs, you've got county sheriffs, you've got city police departments, and you got federal agents that are there, as well as Border Patrol, which are also federal agents. And there is so much confusion.
Yeah, well, I'm sure the immigrants are going to take advantage, like, okay, because they pay attention more to us than we do them. I mean, let's not kid ourselves. And so they know what's going on. They listen to radio, probably podcasts, or read the news. They have their little cell phones. And so I imagine that's why we're seeing waves like we are, yesterday.
I could not believe this. You are absolutely 100% right. In the confusion of what's going on, the illegal immigrants are finding seams where they can, and they are absolutely utilizing this confusion to their advantage.
Yeah, just a stampede.
Yeah, and just absolutely incredible on that. And so let's just take a quick look at this video. So we can see that migrants are ripping the fencing down. The soldiers are armed. I want to point out the person on the far left. You're going to see his arm get jerked down. That's somebody grabbing the barrel right there, the barrel of his rifle. And then they force their way through. And you can see they're all yelling, "Asylum, asylum!" But you've got that NCO, having a special greeting for them as they run up to the gate, and it's "Get the F back." It says that a couple of times.
Well, one thing I noticed, maybe one or two out of, I think articles said 100 people. So 1 or 2% of the people are women, 0 children.
Right.
In that picture?
Right, in that picture. You're absolutely right. And so I just want to, as a special caller, you want to talk about self-control. Self-control.
Yeah.
A standard police officer, if you grabbed the barrel of their gun or you grabbed their sidearm while it's holstered or something like that, you're getting shot.
And rightly so, because, I mean, what else can you assume that other than they're going to try to kill you? And there's no way if someone grabbed my gun would I not be able to shoot him. I'm sorry. Yeah. There's you right here in front of me, and then like 100 people behind you, all trying to stampede us. It's you or me.
Right. But the discipline of that Texas National Guardsman, because you can see that the arm was jerked down and the person obviously had their hand on their weapon, and that is, the arm is not being touched. That means somebody grabbed the barrel and pulled the barrel to try and dislodge that firearm, which looked like an M4 carbine, from that Texas National Guardsman, and the National Guardsman maintained his discipline and did not fire. And I'm pretty sure, I don't have an exact copy of the rules of engagement that Governor Abbott has put out, but I'm sure that would have been a justified offense if the person is taking the firearm.
The other guardsmen around him, they didn't react either. I mean, typically if you see someone you work with or your buddy get attacked like that, it would be tempting to aim. Right.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely would be. And, a lesser person would just rotate that safety switch from safe to semi and start going to town, but that did not happen, which just leads me to believe that the NCOs and officers of this particular unit are doing an amazing job of force de-escalation. Even though they were overrun, their lives would have been over had they started firing. But I personally think it would have been justified, especially since what would have happened had an illegal immigrant was able to secure and grab that M4 carbine.
Well, I feel like the more incidences like this we have, I feel like that's going to happen sooner rather than later.
Yeah. I mean, this the confusion that's going on is hugely hamstringing the ability for the United States to protect itself.
I think one idea, people like Governor DeSantis, ships people to Martha's Vineyard. He says that he plans on intersecting any Haitians trying to come to Florida and sending them to Martha's Vineyard. I fully agree with that.
Right.
Just don't announce it before it happens. The element of surprise. But maybe Governor Abbott could round some up and ship them to be outside of the Fifth Circuit.
Yeah.
I don't know how legal that is, but
yeah, I mean,
I'm not saying put them in the building, just right outside.
Yeah, well, I mean, one of the big things is that the federal government is saying that if Texas starts deporting people, that it will hurt international relations that the federal government has with other countries. So Mexico has straight up said, if Texas starts trying to send people back into Mexico, Mexico is not going to let that happen. And so then it becomes a problem. And when there's a problem, mistakes get made. And when mistakes get made, people get shot usually. And
Right.
so I'm trying to figure out what this is going to do. Is there a compromise that can get done? But Texas mimicked the federal law in its law so that it mirrored each other and nested very well. And that's one of the reasons why the Supreme Court, I think, let the law go, because it does mimic the immigration law that the United States has. And Texas Governor Abbott has said that this, utilizing the Constitution, it says that states can protect themselves in the event of an invasion. And as this video shows, people forcing their way through Texas National Guardsmen and into the interior of the United States, I kind of see this.
Fits the bill.
I see this as an invasion.
Now, others, Iowa's trying to
Right.
do another bill like this one, and I think 25 governors have sent help for the Texas border.
Sure.
What if all those other states tried to pass similar laws like Texas and just jammed up the courts, and finally the justices are like, okay,
Right.
because one state here or there, I think when Nikki Haley was governor of South Carolina, she tried to do an immigration bill and it got overturned.
And Obama sued her,
Yes.
and she won.
And then I think a while back Arizona tried to do one, so you got one here or there. But if you have 25 going at the same time, maybe that would send a message.
Right. I mean, there's obviously a strength in numbers in doing that. And unfortunately, one progressive illegal immigrant advocacy group stops everything by doing a single lawsuit. And honestly, oftentimes people try and pick which appeals court to go to. The Ninth Circuit is notoriously left-leaning, and so a lot of times people definitely want to, if it's a progressive lawsuit, they definitely want to be in the Ninth Circuit so they can, at least go through two of the three hurdles in order to get stuff done or stopped. But that was one of the big things that the Trump administration had, was that all these just ankle-biter lawsuits that were just slowing him down, whatever he was trying to do. And so
that's what I fear with another administration. So he needs to have all of his people in place, ready to go. Anything he wants to act, pretty much typed up, just ready for signature.
Right. Anyway, this has been in the news. I know it has, but we just wanted to give a little bit of context of why this is yo-yoing and what SB4 actually is. And with this surge or invasion of 300 male migrants just bum rushing the border and bowling over the National Guard, thank God there was another wall. There was defense in depth that Texas is doing. And we wanted to bring this to you. This is a problem. This is a problem. And if MSNBC, the ladies there that were joking about people being concerned about immigration, it is a problem. It's the number one issue after the economy, and people need to start paying attention to it. So thank you so much for watching Azimuth Podcast. Please stay tuned after these messages.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for listening. If you enjoy our show with all the stories we share, we would love your support.
And it's as easy as clicking that subscribe or follow button. This will ensure you never miss an episode and keeps us bringing you these important stories. Your support makes a huge difference. Thank you so much for being part of our podcast family.
Thanks, and keep tuning in.